Hey guys, I'm going to read you chapter 12 from our Read Aloud. So this one is 12, but it's really not named that. It is named 2 times 3 plus 3 times 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 plus 6 makes, got it, 12. Let's find out what happens to our boys that have gotten themselves into quite a pickle. As soon as we reached his lab, I told Dr. Thagoras about the test. Oh dear, he said. I was afraid of that. Afraid of what? I asked. There's a lot more to mathematics than just arithmetic, he said. I was hoping you hadn't lost anything except your ability to perform basic calculations. But it appears you were very deeply and thoroughly known. I told Cypher, or I told you, Cypher said, you don't know everything. Be nice, Dr. Thagoras warned the robot. What else is there? Benedict asked. My word, that's an excellent question. Dr. Thagoras scrunched his forehead for a moment. His eyes darted back and forth as if he were watching a grandfather clock. Then he started listing things. There are dozens of concepts and skills: reasoning, estimation, rounding, exponents, logarithms, and lots more. Then there are the fields of math, such as algebra, calculus, set theory, geometry, trigonometry, game theory, statistics, topology. It's almost endless. He chuckled and then he added, I was about to say it is infinite, but that is such a misused concept. I stared at him for a moment before I spoke. I'll never get all of that back, will I? Part of me will be numbed forever. Miss Fiona, you're being rude right now. I stared at him for a moment before I spoke. I'll never get all of that back, ever. There must be one chance, Dr. Thagoras said. You need to do something that allows you to grasp all of the math inside and out. What are you talking about? I asked. He pointed to the wall behind him. The ring on the outside was built before I started working here, so I don't know a whole lot about it. It's hollow. It was intended as an exhibit, but people found it was far too confusing. I think you have to travel the Mobius loop all the way around the inside of the ring. He got up from his stool and rushed down the hallway. This way. We followed him back to the cafeteria. He pointed at the far end to the door marked maintenance. What's this about a loop? Benedict asked. Well, I assume you failed to watch the video in the lobby, Dr. Thagoras thumped the door. As you may have noticed, the outer ring has a single twist in it. This makes it a unique shape. If you put your hand on a wall and start walking, you'd have to go all the way around twice before you got back where you started. What? I don't get it, Benedict said. Try it yourself with a strip of paper. Try it. Give one end a half twist, then tape the ends together in a loop. That's called a Mobius strip. I don't know if this does as good of a job showing it. Okay. I think I can have a better picture for you. Bring it up. Huh. Thinking. This is probably a better idea of it. See how it's like twisted once like that? So, all right. Unlike Benedict, I had seen part of the video, but I still didn't see how twisted paper was going to help us get out of this mess. Dr. Thagoras opened the door. Blue lights spilled into the room. Wait! I looked over at the give and take and repetition doors. When we got into those rooms, we'd been in danger of getting trapped. Those had just been small rooms. This was a whole loop. What's the risk this time? I'm not sure, Dr. Thagora said. Nobody has ever done this. Trapped, Cypher said. You'll be trapped forever. And then he laughed. He's joking, right? I asked. He's not programmed to joke, Dr. Thagora said. He's he's just programmed to say what he thinks. Maybe we should just go home, Benedict said. I mean, we can do arithmetic. That should be good enough. Remember when you thought we didn't need any math at all? I said. That didn't work out very well for us, did it? Well, I guess not, he said. Giving up now wouldn't work either, I said. We have to go. You're right, he said. But why worry? There's nothing that can stump the two of us. He turned toward the open door and said, Bring it on, Mobius. We're ready for you. I started to go inside and then look back. Any idea how many problems there will be? Well, you had one problem the first time, then two the next time, Dr. Thagora said. What do you think comes next? Three, I guessed. Possibly, but I think four might be more probable, he said. Remember, numbers like patterns. Starting with one, you double it to get two, and when you double two, you get four. It's a good thing this is the last time, I said. I wouldn't want to go into a place with 8 problems. Benedict and I entered the loop. I hope there aren't any more timers, he said. Dr. Thegoras closed the door behind us. Numbers and symbols flooded back into my brain along with other things I couldn't identify. Some were just squiggles, others looked like Greek letters. Suddenly I knew how to solve those problems from the math test about pets, clothing, and fences and all that stuff. Too bad I wouldn't get a second chance. We were in a low, narrow corridor. It seemed pretty square. The floor was as wide as the walls were high. I guess we were inside the ring. There was a steel door blocking the path to the left, so we headed to the right. There was just enough light to see where we were going. Do you understand these twice around things he told us about? Benedict asked. Well, I thought about the video with the guy drawing a line on the side of the strip. It still didn't make much sense. Not really. I hope it isn't on the test. I looked down as I walked. Cool. My footsteps left green, glowing marks on the floor, showing me where I'd been. There was a slight tilt to the wall and the floor. The farther we walked, the more we leaned sideways. After a while, everything tilted so much that the left wall became the floor and the ceiling became the left wall. That's when we reached the first problem. There was a door ahead of us with a keypad and a screen. Actually, there were 2 screens. One was lit. The other above it was upside down and dark. I read the question on the lit screen. Which has more volume? A cube 50 inches tall or a sphere 50 inches in diameter? So volume is how much, and that's in our next chapter that we're going to be doing, is how much liquid can be held in a container. So think of like a square vase and a circular vase. Which one would hold more if they're the same height? The keypad had 2 keys labeled cube and square. We'd learned about area in math and had learned about volume. Do you know how to figure out the volume of a sphere? I asked Benedict. It's something with pi, right? Benedict said, yeah, but there has to be another way to figure this out. So pi is 3.14 and then a bunch of other numbers, but it's the diameter of a circle. So if it's a spherical vase, the bottom would be a circle. So they would need that part at least. Let's see, where was I pictured the cube. It didn't matter where it was, 1 inch or a million inches. I just had to picture a sphere the same size. Got it, I said as the image in my mind gave me the answer. Me too, Benedict said. I tapped cube. The sphere would fit inside the cube, so it had to have less volume. I saw another way to think about it. If I start with a 50-inch tall cube, I'd have to carve parts or corners of it away to make 50 inches tall, something 50 inches tall. So if I had here, if I have my iPad and I want to make it into a circle, I have to cut off pieces of it all the way around, even if it went up the same height. So it's gonna, the spherical one's gonna hold less. That was easy. We're 1/4 finished, Benedict said. Right, but if we miss any of the 4, we're totally finished. I opened the door and kept walking. Once again, our right wall gradually became our floor. As soon as we got to the point where the floor felt level, we reached the next door. And once again, there were 2 screens. I saw a problem on the lower screen and a keypad below it with numbers, an enter key, and a percentage key. Benedict read the problem out loud. A coin was tossed 5,000 times. It landed with heads showing 2,786 times and tails showing 2,214 times. On the next toss, what is the probability of heads? So probability is percentage that you're going to have heads. So you either get heads or tails, 2 choices. If it's 100%, is all the choices together. Half of that is. How are we supposed to figure that out? I said. Benedict pulled a coin from his pocket. I'll start tossing and you keep track until we hit 5,000. It's a good thing there's no time limit. I don't think that's how we find a solution, I said. Benedict flipped the coin and let it land in his open palm. I guess you're right, because it's not the same coin as in the problem. That's it. I grabbed his wrist and pointed the coin. You're right. It isn't the same coin. He stared at his palm. It doesn't matter which coin we toss, does it? It's a brand new toss. Every toss is a new toss and has the same chance of being either heads or tails. So all we need to know is the chance of heads on the next toss. Benedict turned the coin over. Well, there's 2 sides, 2 ways it can land. So it's 1 out of 2. Yeah, which is 50%. Go ahead, you do it. Benedict put in the answer. That's 2, he said. We're at 50%. Just like the coin. I opened the door and walked through. Wow, Benedict said. Look at that. He pointed at the ceiling. Yeah, wow. I saw footprints up there leading away. We'd started our loop on the other side of the door, except the ceiling had become the floor as we moved through the twist. 1 more loop, and we'd be back at this door for the final problem. I was beginning to understand what was so special about the Mobius loop. Once again, we went halfway around before we came to the next door. Actually, I realized it was the lower half of the first door we'd come to in the loop. The part that had been the ceiling was now the floor. Halfway through our second time around. Every time we went halfway around the loop, the walls and floor made a quarter turn. The keypad under the lit screen had 2 buttons. One was marked with an A and the other a B. I read the problem on the screen. Okay, if you hear the rustling that's going on here, this is what's happening. Miss Kaya and Miss Fiona are rustling because somehow they think this is more important than my story and they're not listening. You 2 are not good listeners. No, you're not a good listener, Miss Kaya. She's trying to kiss up to me right now. Okay, here's the problem. Ready? Which would be better to get? A $1 a day for a whole year, or B, a penny the first week, 2 pennies the second week, 4 pennies the third week, and so on, doubling the amount each week for a year. Well, that sounds like an easy choice, Benedict said. I mean, 1 penny to start. How much could that end up being? Could be a trick, I said. Or a double trick, Benedict said. That makes it sound wrong, so you'll think it's right, but it's really wrong. It could be a triple trick, I said, or even a quadruple one. Oh, no, I hadn't thought of that. Benedict backed away from the door. I didn't really think it could be a triple trick, but I couldn't resist seeing how Benedict would react. Come on, let's stop guessing and figure it out. I wondered how hard it would be to keep track of doubling the money and adding in the total for each week. I'll do the doubling, you add it, okay? Go for it. Week 1, 1 cent. Week 2, 2 cents. So 1 plus 2 is 3. Benedict said, that's easy. Week 3, add 4. Week 4, add 8. Week 5, add 9. Keep going. And the other way, So it's not even near $1 yet. And the other way, we'd get $365. That has to be the right answer. Hold on, I want to be sure. Where was I? Oh yeah, week 5 at 16. I lost track, Benedict said. Let's start over, Benedict said. No, I don't think we have to. I guess 15 cents isn't very much after 4 weeks, but it's still 15 times more than what we started with. I think the amount is going to grow so big that the answer will be obvious, even if we don't bother adding the totals. Let's start doubling and see what we get. I held up my fingers. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. I looked at my hands. We'd finally passed $1 on the 8th week. I kept going. 256. I paused for a second, wondering whether I could do the next in my head. But I saw that I could ignore the 6 at first and just double 250, make that 500, and then double the 6. And so I get 512. I kept going. Next is 512. So that's $5.12. I had all 10 fingers up now and nodded at Benedict, who took over his fingers as I counted. I didn't think we'd need to go much further. We're already up to $5.12 on the 10th week. Then it's 1,024 pennies. That's $10.24. Then that's $20.48. Wow, that's already way more than $7 a week, which you'd get if you took $1 a day, Benedict said. We're only at the 12th week, and we're not even adding up the total from each week. You're right. It's going to get huge. I could have stopped right there, but I was curious, rounding the 2048 to just 20, just to make the math easier. And then I made it 40, and then 80, and then 160, and so on. And that was just the 15th week. I had no idea how much it would be at the end of a year, but I had a feeling it would take a long time even to write the number. I guess it really was a double trick, I said. Yeah, the trick is to try to double your money as often as you can, Benedict said. I pressed B on the keypad. The door swung open. That's the last one up ahead, I said. We're ready, Benedict replied. I hope so. I was proud of how well we'd done, but I had a feeling that the final problem might be 4 times harder than any of the others. We walked along the second half of our second pass through the Mobius loop. We were now looking at the bottom half of the second door. We'd already done the problem on the top half during the first pass through the loop, when we'd been walking on the ceiling. There was a screen, but there was no problem. Instead of a keypad, there was a whole keyboard. Hadn't noticed that before in the darkness. Welcome to infinity, a familiar voice said. You have this much time to solve the problem. Numbers started streaming across the screen, flowing faster and faster until they were a blur. I'm starting to not like this, Benedict said. I didn't like it either. I think I'm going to stop there. This is quite a long chapter, and I'm going to save the last problem for later. But here's your challenge. I want you to figure out if you get a penny a week or a year, and each week it doubles what you had the week before. How much money would you have at the end of the year? That is your math problem for today. Good luck.